Hi, I'm Barry Dowsett. I'm the Chief Executive Officer here at Myriad Associates. And our friends at Ukie have asked us to put together this short video to talk to you about the basics of a video games tax relief, which is known as VGTR for short. So we'll be covering what is video games tax relief, who can claim, and how do you claim. So let's just kick off first of all, what is VGTR? Well, in very simple terms, it's a government incentive to help UK computer game developers produce games which meet the British, the cultural requirements. So it's a pretty strong incentive because you can get somewhere between 16% to 20% of your production costs. Now, next thing is who can claim VGTR? Well, in very simple terms, any UK game developer, providing they meet the criteria, which we'll go on to in a minute, can claim. But what you must remember is only one company per game can make a claim. So if you are working for a publisher, for example, you will need to check the contract to see if it has any reference to who is going to make the VGTR claim. Of course, if you're self-publishing and producing and self-publishing yourself, that will be fine. So it doesn't matter if you're using developing games on mobile, PC, console, absolutely fine. The area that you cannot certainly claim is for games that involve gambling. That is prohibited within the video games tax relief legislation. So quickly move on to how to claim VGTR. There's two parts. You've got the BFI application, and then you've got the HM Revenue and Customs. So the first part, BFI application. So this is you making an application to obtain a certificate to ensure that your game meets the cultural test. And the cultural test and the application is split into 4 sections. So you need to achieve 16 or more points, so 16 out of 31, in order to receive a certificate. Now, as soon as you get to 16 or more, you don't have to complete all sections, and that's very important. So section A and B, you can actually get 20 points. So section A is the cultural content, you get 16. Section B is cultural contribution, you get 4 points. That means you don't have to, if you score enough points in those 2 sections, means you do not have to complete section C and D. Now that's important because section C and D requires an accountant's report, and that can be quite expensive. That can range between £1,000 to £2,000 per game, i.e. per application. If you have to dip into section C or D, definitely look at section D first. Section D, you can get 8 points. That's the cultural practitioner section. All your accountants need to do is verify identity. There's 8 points there. If you get 16 or more by going to section D, stop. Do not look at section C, because section C is only 3 points, but your accountants have to do a mini audit on the production costs, and that's where it can get expensive. Okay, so once you've done the BFI application, you received your certificate, you're coming to do your tax return, you will complete your corporation tax return and tax computations as normal. The key difference though is that you would then have to split out every game you're making a claim for has to be treated as separate trade. In essence, you have to do a separate profit and loss account for tax reporting purposes into HM Revenue and Customs. So a lot of the accounting practices out there do not have the software capable of doing tax computations by separate trade. So you need to speak to your accountants to see if they can cope with that. If not, you need to talk to them how they can overcome that. Alternatively, you reach out to a specialist like Myriad Associates that can help you with this. So I would definitely look at putting that claim in. You would have to also enclose the interim certificate or the final certificate you have from BFI. It's received by the HM Revenue and Customs Creative Unit, which are based in Manchester. They will turn claims around typically within 28 days. And once they've processed your claim, you need to allow up to 10 working days in order for the funds to come through. So you're talking about a 6-week period before, if you due a tax credit, before you actually see sight of those funds. Now, a couple of tips I'm going to move on to now. The first one is record keeping. Now, this is a very, very important area. I would recommend, if your accounting software can report either by cost centres or cost units, use that. So every game becomes a cost center, for example. You then need to allocate and apportion people, your development team, production team, across to the various games. And it will make things so much more simple in reporting to BFI and in particular reporting into HM Revenue and Customs when it comes to splitting things down by trade. That's the first tip. The second one I have is for large game titles. Typically I'm talking about those in excess of £500,000. Think about setting up a separate entity. Not only does this allow you to have a definitive profit and loss per entity, in that case per game, you're also able to maximise the incentive, to get your full entitlement to the incentive. You can certainly go towards a 20% and claim that 20% rather than 16%. So a separate entity, the posh word for this is a special purpose vehicle. And the reason why it's called special purpose is that the game is the purpose and you're producing just that game. So yeah, in essence, it's a separate entity that is ring-fenced in terms of its profit and loss. So that's another tip that I will give you. So yeah, a couple there, record keeping and potentially setting up an SPV. So anyway, any questions you have on video games tax relief, please feel free to reach out. We are Ukie members and you can reach out either through Ukie or directly to our sales. So my contact is barry.dowsett@myriadassociates.com, or you can get hold of me on that telephone number 01858 776 045. I hope you enjoyed listening to this video, and we have plenty of others out there as well, so please have a look at those, particularly on R&D tax credits. You take care. Cheers. Bye-bye.